Through his green reliquary, a bitter and evil man named Rasputin watches a young woman named Anastasia Romanov sound asleep on a ship. Hell-bent on killing her, Rasputin uses his powers and has his green bats go into Anastasia's mind. He makes her see a vivid dream before he then controls her body and has her sleepwalk all the way to the deck where the stormy sea of which she's not aware, being deep into her vivid dream. To end her, Rasputin makes her stand on the guardrail to have her jump off to her death. In 1916, it was the Imperial Russia ruled by Tsar Nicholas. The Romanovs have been ruling Russia for 300 years, and that calls for a massive celebration at their palace. That man with the hairy face is named Tsar Nicholas, ruler of Russia. He dances a bit with his lovely daughter Anastasia before she goes to chat with her grandmother named Marie. At the time, Marie was planning to go to Paris, and Anastasia begged her not to do so. To make the separation easier for both of them, Marie gifts her granddaughter a music box, while a kid named Dmitri, who works at the palace kitchen, spies on them out of curiosity before the butler catches him and takes him back to the kitchen. Marie opens the box with a necklace. A miniature Tsar Nicholas dancing with his wife appears, and a song plays which Anastasia sings along with her grandmother. Marie then gifts Anastasia the necklace, which is the key to the box. On the necklace are written the words, "Together in Paris." Seeing that, Anastasia is in awe and hugs her grandmother in gratitude. The bright, grand party soon becomes bleak and dark when Rasputin shows up holding a green reliquary. He pretended to be a holy man. In fact, he was Nicholas's confidant, but Nicholas kicked him out after finding out he was a fraud. Nicholas calls Rasputin a traitor and orders him to leave the palace. Rasputin says no and vows to end Nicholas and his family forever now that he has the great power to do so, which he then uses to cut off the chandelier and scare everybody in the palace. Rasputin had a deep hatred for Nicholas and his family, so he sold his soul to this power earlier, and that's how he got his hands on the green reliquary, which he used to ignite the Russian Revolution and open the palace gates for the people to have them attack the palace to kill Nicholas and his family, toppling his rule. As the revolution begins, everybody in the palace panics and rushes out. Anastasia rushes to her room to get the music box her grandmother gifted to her. Marie catches up to her and locks the door. Just then, a soldier tries breaking it, and the two are in trouble as Rasputin's helper, the bat named Bartok, secretly watches them from the window. Dmitri comes in through a secret door in the wall and helps the two escape, but they accidentally drop the music box in the process. After the two escape, Dmitri shuts the secret door and remains to cover for them. Just then, revolutionary soldiers burst into the room. They killed Nicholas and his family, and now they're looking for Anastasia and her grandmother. Dmitri tries fighting the soldier to cover for the two, but gets knocked out afterward. Marie and Anastasia make it out of the palace, but Rasputin intercepts them and jumps from the bridge to catch the young Anastasia. However, the thin ice cracks underneath Rasputin, causing him to drown in the slush. Marie and Anastasia get away while Bartok watches his master drown, leaving him with his green reliquary. Marie decides to escape to Paris with Anastasia, so she hops on the slowly moving train but forgets to get Anastasia. Anastasia tries catching up to her grandmother, and Marie manages to hold Anastasia's hand to get her inside the train. However, Marie loses her grip on Anastasia's hand, causing her to fall off and go unconscious after hitting her head. That breaks Marie's heart as she shouts at Anastasia as the train speeds off. From that moment on, Marie went to France. Much to her dismay, she never saw her granddaughter again. 10 years after the revolution, people from the working class are having a hard time making a living. Anastasia is missing, and no one knows what happened to her. Marie became Russia's empress and is looking for Anastasia. That's why she puts out a reward notice, promising 10 million rubles for whoever finds Anastasia and brings her to Paris alive. That's more like $100,000. That gets the interest of the Russian people, and in particular, the two con men. One of them is named Vladimir, and the other is the adult Dmitri. He was the boy who saved Anastasia and Marie in the palace 10 years ago. Wanting to get rich, Dmitri and Vladimir decide to con Marie. They decide to bring a girl that looks like Anastasia and train her to act like a princess. they'll bring that girl to Empress Marie in Paris to con her into giving them the 10 million rubles.
The biggest con in history!
Meanwhile, Anastasia has lived in an orphanage for the past 10 years. She goes by the fake name of Anya, and her memories of her family and past are quite blurry and vague, having gotten amnesia after falling from that train and hitting her head 10 years ago. She doesn't know where she comes from, but she believes that she has family left in Paris, given the words, "Together in Paris," written on her necklace.
Together in Paris.
Surprisingly, she doesn't know her grandmother is in Paris. Tired of the 18-year-old Anya, the owner of the orphanage named Filmmakers decides that it's time to kick her out to have her face the real world and look for work. Now Anya has no destination to go to. She only has her necklace. She believes that whoever gave her that necklace loves her so much and is in Paris. Not knowing what to do now, Anya asks for a sign and sits down waiting for it.
Send me a sign!
Just then, a puppy named Puka appears and tells her to follow him to St. Petersburg. After following him there, Anya decides to go to Paris. She goes to the ticket agent and asks for a ticket to Paris. The ticket agent asks her for an exit visa, but unfortunately, Anya doesn't have one. The ticket agent lashes out and yells, "No exit visa, no ticket," before he shuts the window in her face. An old lady then advises her to go see Dmitri at Nicholas's palace.
See Dmitri.
Meanwhile, Dmitri and Vladimir are looking for the right girl to act as Anya, so they can use her to con Marie into giving them the promised reward. However, none of the girls auditioning are this good, so the two decide to call it a day for now, believing that the real Anastasia is somewhere under their noses, unaware that they've just passed by her. As she looks for them, Anya arrives at the palace, which main door is boarded up. As Anya tries to make her way in, she makes an audible noise, which Dmitri and Vladimir hear. Anya looks around the palace, which used to be her home. She has some vague memories about this place. Just then, Dmitri and Vladimir spot her and yell at her, asking how she got in there. Anya runs upstairs and stops next to a portrait of her as a child with her family. As Dmitri catches up to her, he's blown away by her beauty and her resemblance to the young Anastasia in the picture. Dmitri then asks her who she is. Anastasia introduces herself as Anya.
My name is Anya. I need travel papers.
But she doesn't remember much about her childhood. She knows that the only family she has left is in Paris, so Anya asks Dmitri for travel papers to Paris. However, Dmitri sees her as a recruit to pose as Anastasia, given her uncanny resemblance to the real Anastasia, and that Anastasia's grandmother Marie is in Paris. Given that Anya doesn't remember who she is, Dmitri tells her she might be the real Anastasia. That's why he asks Anya to come with him to Paris and meet the Empress, Marie. Maybe she'll recognize her as her granddaughter. Thinking this is crazy, Anya says no, totally clueless that she is the real Anastasia. Dmitri says, "Take it or leave it," and slowly walks away, confident that Anya will eventually change her mind. To his luck, Anya does change her mind shortly after. She takes the deal to go to Paris, wanting to know who she is and find her family.
Dmitri, wait!
Meanwhile, Bartok watches them from an alcove in the palace along with Rasputin's green reliquary beside him. A green bat from the reliquary recognizes Anya as the long-missing Anastasia. That's why green bats show up to drag Bartok to another realm called Limbo, where he meets Rasputin. It turns out Rasputin isn't completely dead, and so he ended up stranded in Limbo for 10 years. Having just reunited with his helper, Rasputin is happy. However, Rasputin is tired and weak, not having his reliquary. He also feels old and stale, not having any purpose to live for. After Bartok gives him back the reliquary, Rasputin's mood heightens, having got his powers back. After learning Anastasia is alive, Rasputin gets his sense of purpose back and vows to kill her to end what's left of the Romanov family. Meanwhile, the three are on the train and are on the way to Paris. Dmitri and Anya are bickering, while Vladimir goes to hand the forged traveling papers to the guards, but a problem pops up. Vladimir looks at the real traveling papers with the other passengers and finds them stamped in red.
The traveling papers were blue.
While the ones he forged with Dmitri are stamped in blue. If they get caught, they'll go to jail for forgery. Vladimir tells Dmitri about this. Worried, Dmitri awakes the sleeping Anya, who's unaware of the forged traveling papers, and has her come with him and Vladimir to the baggage cart. Just then, Rasputin sends his green bats to derail the train, and kill Anya. They start by unhooking the baggage cart from the rest of the train.
What was that?
Knowing that Anya is in it, Dmitri notices something is not right, so he goes to see the driver of the train. But there's no driver. Dmitri comes back and decides to jump off the train, so they open the door, but it's too high to jump. Dmitri decides to jump from somewhere safer, so he decides to unhook the cart from the driver's cart. Rasputin's bat secretly freezes the coupler, and Dmitri tries breaking it with the hammer, but the hammer gets broken instead. Anya finds a box of dynamite in the cart, so she lights a stick and gives it to Dmitri. Dmitri marvels at her cleverness before he plants the stick of the dynamite in the coupler. The dynamite explodes, and the cart is separated from the driver's cart. Dmitri has hope that the cart will eventually slow down, since there's plenty of track. Just then, Rasputin's bats destroy the bridge. The three have no choice now but to jump. To slow down the cart, Dmitri finds a chain with 2 hooks on both ends. Dmitri goes out to tie the hook to the cart. Then, with Anya's help, Dmitri throws the rest of the iron chain. To their luck, the other hook catches the rails, derailing the cart and slowing it down. Just then, the three take the opportunity and jump off to safety. Seeing that Anastasia survived, Rasputin is pissed. Bartok reminds him to never lose his cool and keep his stress in check. He also helps Rasputin think of a better way to kill Anastasia. Meanwhile, the three are in Germany. As the three chat on the way, Anya learns that she has to go through the Empress's cousin Sophie and convince her that she is Anastasia before meeting Empress Marie herself. However, Anya has a heart of gold, and to her, lying to people is bad. She doesn't want to lie to the Empress's cousin and pretend to be her long-lost granddaughter Anastasia. Unaware that she's the real Anastasia, Anya goes mad at Dmitri, saying she's not a princess material before storming off. To calm her down, Vladimir gives her a flower and tells her that he was in fact a member of the imperial court in Tsar Nicholas's palace. Given Anya's bravery and cleverness on that train, Vladimir tells her he believes that she might be the real Anastasia. That's why he offers to teach her how to act like one in order to impress Sophie. Not liking any of this, Anya decides to walk away and find her way back to Russia. Vladimir talks her out of it, telling her there's nothing for her back there. Everything is in Paris now. Anya is convinced and goes on with their plan.
Start your teaching.
Dmitri and Vladimir start teaching her how to act like a member of the royal family. They teach her how to walk like a lady, how to ride a horse, and how to ride a bicycle. Soon after, the three get on a boat to France. Dmitri gifts her a blue dress to look like a lady from a royal family. Night falls and Anya gets ready to go to bed. However, the music box falls from Dmitri's satchel. It's the music box Empress Marie gave to Anya when she was little. Anya doesn't recognize it at all as she looks at it. It only evokes some vague memories in her mind, as something about the box sounds familiar, but Anya can't quite put her finger on it. But now that it's bedtime, Anya puts the box aside and goes to sleep along with Puka to get ready for tomorrow. Through his reliquary, Rasputin watches Anastasia sound asleep. He sees this as an opportunity to kill her, so he uses his powers to get inside her mind and make her see a wonderful dream. By doing this, he controls her body and has her sleepwalk to the deck, where the stormy sea she's oblivious to. Puka rouses Dmitri from his sleep and alerts him about Anya. Dmitri rushes out and looks for Anya. He finds her tiptoeing on the ship's guardrail. She's about to jump into the stormy sea, seeing Nicholas in her dream telling her to jump and swim with him. However, Dmitri saves the sleepwalking Anya in the nick of time and carries her away from the rail. He shakes up Anya and has her wake up. Looking at where she is now, Anya is shocked and frightened. She then breaks down, saying she's confused by her dreams. Dmitri reassures her this is a nightmare and comforts her. Having failed to take out Anya for the second time, Rasputin is pissed off. After Bartok calms him down, Rasputin decides to take matters into his own hands and kill Anya himself. Through his reliquary, Rasputin gets out of limbo and goes to the real world. In Paris, a woman pretending to be Anastasia is sent to Empress Marie, but the woman does a bad job of acting as Anastasia, so Marie has her cousin Sophie kick her out. Having met many girls pretending to be Anastasia, Marie is tired and gives up the hope of ever finding her granddaughter again. Meanwhile, the three arrive in Paris, go to Marie's home, and knock on the door. Marie's cousin named Sophie opens the door and welcomes them in. Seeing Anya, Sophie notes that she looks a lot like Anastasia, but so did many of the girls pretending to be Anastasia. That's why Sophie interviews Anya and spends hours asking her quizzical questions about the royal family. Finally, Sophie asks Anya how she escaped from the palace when the revolution started 10 years ago. Dmitri gets worried, thinking they're done since he hasn't taught Anya to answer that question. However, a blurry memory comes to Anya's mind. She says that a boy who worked at the palace helped her escape through a secret opening in the wall.
He opened a wall.
But she doesn't remember who that boy was. At this moment, Dmitri recognizes Anya as the real Anastasia Romanov, since he was, in fact, the boy who helped her escape through that secret door in the wall. Now the interview is over, and Sophie is impressed with how Anya answered the questions. While Dmitri doesn't feel good about this, Vladimir is super happy, so he asks Sophie to arrange a meeting with the Empress, but Sophie says the Empress is not meeting anyone. Vladimir insists, but Sophie tells them they'll meet her tonight at the ballet.
They're performing in Paris tonight.
An overjoyed Vladimir tells this to Dmitri, but Dmitri tries telling him that Anya is the real Anastasia, but they get interrupted by the super excited Anya, who tells them Sophie is taking them shopping for the ballet at night. At night, they all go shopping, get dressed up, go to see the Evil Tower, and watch the fireworks. Shortly before the ballet performance, Dmitri tells Vladimir that Anya is the real Anastasia Romanov. Vladimir tells Dmitri to tell her that since she is the heir to the Russian throne. Just as they get interrupted by Anya, Dmitri changes the subject and accompanies her into the theater where they watch the ballet performance. During the performance, Anya spots the Empress Marie watching from another alcove. Shortly after, Dmitri takes Anya to have her meet the Empress. Anya thanks Dmitri for taking her to Paris and everything.
Yes, thank you for everything.
In an awkward moment, the two try to express their attraction to each other, but they can't find the words, so Dmitri ends the conversation by wishing Anya luck in her life. After having Anya wait outside, Dmitri goes in to meet the Empress and introduce Anya to her, but Marie is tired of seeing women pretending to be Anastasia. She doesn't want to see anyone, so she has Sophie show him out. Dmitri pretends to leave, but then secretly goes to Marie and tries reasoning with her. He introduces himself and tells her he used to work at the palace. Marie doesn't want to hear anything from Dmitri. Marie knows Dmitri was having girls audition in Russia to have them act as Anastasia in front of her, so she calls him out on it. Overhearing this, Anya feels Dmitri has been using her the whole time to take the money from Marie. Despite Dmitri telling Marie that Anya is the real Anastasia, Marie has her guards kick Dmitri out. Dmitri finds a pissed-off Anya. He tries telling her she's the real Anastasia and that he was the boy who saved her through that opening in the wall. Feeling used and fooled, Anya is done with Dmitri. She slaps him hard in the face before storming off. Later, Dmitri resorts to doing something else. He waits for Marie to leave the theater. As her driver gets her in the car, Dmitri seizes the opportunity, steals the car, and speeds away. Marie recognizes Dmitri and orders him to stop the car at once. Dmitri says no and drives her to Anya's apartment building. He begs Marie to just give Anya a chance and talk to her. Stubborn, Marie says no, but changes her mind after Dmitri shows her the music box she gave to Anastasia 10 years ago. After recognizing the box, Marie goes to meet Anya to test if she's her granddaughter. At first, Marie is not convinced, thinking that Anya is acting, but she spots the "Together in Paris" necklace Anya's wearing.
What is that?
She recognizes it as the secret necklace she shared with Anastasia when she was little. Marie gives Anya the music box, and Anya recognizes it this time. With her necklace, Anya opens the box and a song plays. Anya sings the song along with Marie. At this moment, Marie recognizes Anya as Anastasia Romanov, her long-lost granddaughter, and the two hug each other tightly in a tearful reunion. Having done the right thing, Dmitri walks away. Later, Rasputin learns about Anastasia's reunion with her grandmother. He also learns that Marie will throw a grand party celebrating that. Rasputin decides to go there by himself and kill Anastasia. Bartok tries talking Rasputin out of his obsession with killing Anastasia. He tells him to forget about her and get a life, but Rasputin is adamant. He just wants to kill Anastasia and end the Romanovs. Marie spends her time with her long-lost granddaughter. Marie shows her some pictures and reminds her of her old memories in the palace when she was little. She also crowns her to be the Empress of Russia since she's the legitimate heir to the throne. Shortly after, Marie summons Dmitri. She thanks him and decides to give him the reward of 10 million rubles. However, Dmitri doesn't want money at this point. He's grown attracted to Anastasia, so he wants something far more profound. That's why he turns Marie down and leaves. On his way out, Dmitri greets Anastasia, who doesn't seem happy to see him. Dmitri then goes to see his buddy, Vladimir. Since he worked at the palace during Tsar Nicholas's rule, Marie gave him his job back. Vladimir tells Dmitri to take the money, but Dmitri tells him he only wants to do the right thing before he bids him farewell. At the party, Marie approaches Anastasia and talks to her about Dmitri. Anastasia thinks Dmitri took the 10 million rubles and that he's busy spending them. Marie surprises her, telling her Dmitri didn't take the money at all.
He didn't?
Marie knows by intuition that Anastasia is attracted to Dmitri, so she asks her whether being an empress is really what she wants to do with the rest of her life. Before Anastasia can reply to that, Marie leaves and goes to the party. Anastasia then sees Puka. He keeps barking. He senses that something dangerous is present, so he goes after it. Anastasia follows him to the garden,
Puka!
where she comes face to face with Rasputin, a face she hasn't seen in a long time. Rasputin has his bats attack her and tear her dress as Bartok begs him to stop. Anastasia defiantly tells Rasputin she's not afraid of him. With his reliquary, Rasputin destroys the part of the bridge Anastasia is standing on. She's about to fall off and die. Just then, Dmitri arrives at her rescue. He punches Rasputin and tries to save Anastasia from falling off. Rasputin uses his reliquary to revive a big statue of a winged horse and has it attack Dmitri. While Dmitri tries fighting it off, Anastasia tackles Rasputin and tries taking his reliquary. Rasputin pushes her away and stands back up with his reliquary to fight back. Just then, Puka snatches the reliquary. It ends up under Anastasia's foot, which is why it starts cracking, causing the big statue of the flying horse to shatter into flying pieces. One of those pieces hits Dmitri in the head and knocks him out unconscious. Rasputin starts losing his power. He begs Anastasia not to break the reliquary. Anastasia breaks it, causing Rasputin to decompose and turn to ash, which the wind blows away afterward. In the aftermath, Anastasia checks on the unconscious Dmitri and awakes him. As the two reconcile and fall in love, Puka interrupts them, reminding Anastasia to put on her crown. Dmitri gives it to Anastasia and tells her everybody at the palace is waiting for her. However, Anastasia is now deeply in love with Dmitri. She wants to be with him. That is why she leaves behind the empress crown at the palace and leaves a note for her grandmother, telling her that she took off to march to the beat of her drum and be with the one she loves. Reading this, Marie couldn't be prouder. Now, Anastasia is on a ship with Dmitri, whom she loves. From afar, Bartok happily watches them. Just then, Bartok meets a female bat who's attracted to him. As she says hi, the two immediately hit it off and become a couple.